everybody, it's your boy JT Sports, and I'm back to you guys with another video. I'm here with my Arizona Cardinals 7th-round mock draft. Going to be going through all the players that the Arizona Cardinals should select or could select in this year's upcoming NFL draft. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos. I upload NFL videos daily, so make sure to subscribe. So let's get into it. So in the first round of this year's draft, I have them selecting quarterback Kyler Murray out of the University of Oklahoma. He's a dynamic quarterback. He's probably the most polarizing player in this year's draft. He has good accuracy. He has a good arm. He's a good passer. He's a very, very good runner. And I can see why so many teams are so impressed with him, because I think the thing that really impresses is how good that he is in the pocket. You don't really see a guy his size, his stature, under 6 feet, being able to really move around the pocket very well, step up in the pocket. That's very rare for a guy his size. And I believe all those reasons are the reason why the Arizona Cardinals are willing to draft him after taking the quarterback last year in the top 10 of the NFL draft, Josh Rosen, who hasn't really panned out so much for the Arizona Cardinals, so I wouldn't be surprised if they move him before the draft. So I have them taking Kyler Murray with the first overall pick of this year's NFL draft. So in the second round, I have them selecting a wide receiver out of South Carolina, DEEBO Samuel. He has been the best player on the South Carolina Gamecocks for the past 2 seasons. He had a very good Senior Bowl. He had a very good combine showing. And I think he would be a very good pick for Cliff Kingsbury and the Arizona Cardinals. I believe he would be good in the slot. And pair him up with Christian Kirk, who had a very good rookie season. Probably could have been better if they were able to get more production out of the quarterback position. And Larry Fitzgerald, even though he's declining, he is able to give you some production there at that wide receiver position. And that, to me, it wouldn't be a great wide receiving core as of right now, but in the next 2 to 3 years, it could emerge to be a top 5 wide receiving core. And DEEBO Samuel, he would be a very, very good slot guy for the Arizona Cardinals, or you can move him to the outside. Me, I prefer him better at the slot position, but it's just a scheme fit. So I have him going to the Arizona Cardinals in the second round. In the third round, I have them selecting offensive guard / offensive tackle Michael Jordan out of the University of Ohio State. They desperately need some offensive line help because they probably had the worst offensive line in football last year. Josh Rosen, he couldn't run for his life because he's not really that good running the ball or extending plays in the pocket with his feet. So he was getting absolutely destroyed back there. I mean, just rewatch the Thursday night game against the Denver Broncos. Oh my God, he was a massacre. So they desperately, if they do intend to draft Kyler Murray or keep Josh Rosen, they need to solidify the offensive line. It will also help the running game because David Johnson was very, very underwhelming. The whole entire running game was very underwhelming for the Arizona Cardinals, and it was probably due to the lackluster offensive line play. So you select Michael Jordan in the third round. He is a day one starter, in my opinion. He won't help the offensive line tremendously, but it will be a start there. And they need to add some more guys on that offensive line to make it a legit offensive line. So I have them selecting Michael Jordan in the third round. In the fourth round, I have them selecting edge rusher Austin Bryant. Now, Austin Bryant doesn't really get taught that much because he was in the shadow of all the other good Clemson defensive line players, but this guy, he was a rotational player, and for the last 2 seasons, he had 15.5 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks. So this guy, imagine what this guy can do starting a full NFL season, 16 games, being a starter, having so many snaps to make plays and opportunities. I believe this guy could be a 9.5 sack guy in his rookie season. Now, our Arizona Cardinals desperately need some pass rushers because they were terrible rushing the passer last year. They weren't really that good. So Austin Bryant would be a very good steal in the fourth round for the Arizona Cardinals. So in the fifth round, I have them selecting tight end out of the University of UCLA, Caleb Wilson, who was a second-team All-American. I mean, this guy can line up as wide receiver also. He's a dynamic tight end. He's has pretty good hands, he's athletic, and he's probably one of the most underrated players, in my opinion, in the NFL draft. And they already had Charles Clay, but I believe this guy will eventually overtake Charles Clay because Charles Clay isn't what he used to be. He wasn't really that good in Buffalo. I mean, due to the poor quarterback play there, but Caleb Wilson will be a very good fit for Cliff Kingsbury, an offensive innovator. You can find ways to get this guy involved in the passing game, and he could be a very, very key part of the Arizona Cardinals getting back to relevancy, because it's not very often that you can find tight ends that can line up and play wide receiver. I mean, this guy, he can do so many things. You just got to find ways to get the ball in his hands, and I believe he would be a very, very good selection in the 5th round for the Arizona Cardinals. In the 6th round, they have 2 6th-round picks. This is pick 174, having selected cornerback Jimmy Moreland out of James Madison University. He was All-American for FCS, first-team All-FCS. Was graded out the best cornerback in the FCS this past season. And the Arizona Cardinals, they need some help on basically almost every position on defense. And you can start that in the 6th round again with another good cornerback next to Patrick Peterson. He might not be a day-one starter, but I believe he can eventually get groomed into a very, very good cornerback. He's very, very good in man coverage, zone coverage. He does all the little things well. He's not very that good when it comes to press coverage that much. But, I mean, you just need a guy who can cover wide receivers. The Arizona Cardinals don't really need a guy in press coverage, since they're probably going to play more zone than man anyway. So I believe he would be a very good, very, very good pick here for the Arizona Cardinals in the 6th round. Next, their second 6th-round pick, I have them selecting wide receiver Dillon Mitchell. I mean, you can never have too many good wide receivers on your team, and the Arizona Cardinals, they really, really need some more playmakers on their offense. So just go ahead and select Dillon Mitchell in the 6th round. I mean, he broke Oregon's wide receiving yards and the season record. He had 1,154 receiving yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. He was Justin Herbert's #1 target this past season, and I believe he would be a good pick for the Arizona Cardinals in the 6th round, a guy who could potentially take over for Larry Fitzgerald when he does decide to hang up the cleats. So, in the 7th round, I have them selecting defensive tackle out of Arizona, P.J. Johnson. He's a very, very big guy. I believe he's 330 pounds, and he can really clog up those running lanes. And he's not really that much of a pass rusher, but he's just a big guy. At this point, the Arizona Cardinals are just looking for guys to fill out depth, and I believe he'll be a very, very good depth guy on that defensive line for the Arizona Cardinals. I also have them selecting halfback Bruce Anderson out of North Dakota State with their 249th pick. I mean, they just need some depth. David Johnson, he can't be in all game. I mean, this guy, he's going to need some breaks, so you give him a nice compliment back. Bruce Anderson, he's kind of like a Ezekiel Elliott type breed. I mean, he gets a lot of yards after initial contact, and I believe he'll be a very, very good backup to David Johnson. And lastly, I have them selecting linebacker Cameron Smith out of USC. He has some potential. He's a little bit undersized, but he's very quick, very athletic guy. And I believe he could potentially contribute as a starter eventually, but for now, he'll probably be a special teams guy. But this is it for my Arizona Cardinals 7th-round mock draft. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section and down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. And thanks for watching.